folks were struggling to keep their marriage of 23 years afloat. So they did something drastic and extremely unconventional, and they say it saved their marriage. Oh boy, I can't wait to hear this. Please welcome Lisa and Emil. Welcome.
Thank you.
27 years.
Yeah.
Great to have you.
28, actually.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Mazel tov. So, okay, what's the secret? What did you do?
We live separately. Yeah, after 23 years, we decided that it would just make so much more sense to have our own spaces. It had just gotten so hard to live under one roof with our different habits and our different preferences. And
really?
Yeah, it was just bicker, resentment, and we just finally realized that we could keep the marriage together if we had separate spaces.
And you're called a LAT couple.
Yes.
What does that stand for?
Living apart together.
And so, but you are monogamous.
Totally.
Yes. So it's not about, I mean, because we've done those kinds of shows too, where yeah, they live apart and they have separate lives.
Yeah.
But so is this something you did through therapy to figure out that you needed to be apart physically?
Do you want to answer that?
I don't think we figured it out through therapy. We did go to therapy for many years before we did this. But then it didn't, in the end, it didn't really change the basics of it. And so Lisa came up with the idea.
And so I would imagine it's a major financial decision to have to find another place. So how did that work? Did you just, you know, move? Who moved out?
I moved out, but I want to, you know, you bring up a really good point about the finances, and it is a hit financially. However, what I like to tell people when they bring that up as an obstacle is that, you know, if you get divorced, you're going to have to afford to live separately. Mm-hmm. And you're going to be paying the lawyers, you know, $20,000, $30,000 to do it for you. You may as well take that money, put it on a down payment on a house, and save your marriage and save your family.
Wow, you're living proof of that.
We really are.
What did you fight about? What were the problems beforehand?
You know, I think that what we came to realize fairly quickly after we got married is that despite the fact that we share so much in terms of our values and our ideals and our points of view about raising children, just day-to-day lifestyle stuff was
him just leaving the toothpaste cap off,
and the magazines and books everywhere, and he's a builder, so he's got construction supplies all over the house, and I'm a person who really craves beauty in my environment, and it was just a constant irritation for me. And when we finally got to the point where I just said to myself, I can't live like this anymore, I had this little epiphany, and that was, you know, he deserves to live in the space that works for him, and I deserve to live in a space that works for me, and it shouldn't be a competition. It doesn't need to be a battle.
Mm-hmm. No, it sounds really reasonable, and it works for you all. Yeah. Well, we have video of Lisa and Emil's separate homes. Let's take a look.
This is my house on a rainy March morning. Plants in my bay window, spinning wheel in the corner, hand-knitted scarves and hats.
Here is our original home, and in we go to my man cave. Here are all my books, my instruments, evidence of a bachelor's den.
There you can see the living room, fireplace, couch where we sit and read, tropical plants.
Here is a quick look at our basement. Now it's cluttered with all my trade tools, which gives you an idea of how I took over the space.
Downstairs into the basement, which we have turned into a pottery studio. We've got bins full of a whole variety of craft supplies. A lot of yarn in here because I do a lot of knitting. See that little plaque? It says it's never too late to live happily ever after.
How nice. That's a good setup. And I know you wrote a book together about your unconventional marriage. Tell us about it.
Yeah. Within about a year after we did this living separately arrangement, we were talking to friends and meeting people, and it would come up in conversation, and people's eyes just got big, and they said, wow, you need to write a book about this. And so I did. I let it incubate for maybe about 6 months or so.
In your house or his house?
In my house.
Okay.
Yeah, and I just, took the time over a period of about a year to write the book, and found a publisher who was interested in it. And we did it. But not only was it my story, I felt like it was really important for Emil and our 3 daughters to also tell what the experience was like for them. And so they each wrote a chapter as well. And you really get a first-hand look at how it affected the whole family.
How old were they when you made this decision?
They were all grown.
They were.
Yeah.
They were out of the
Early
house.
20s, middle 20s.
Do you think it would have been different had they been younger and still living in the house?
There would have been another set of challenges, but I think it still would have been the right thing to do, because it's just no good for anybody to live in a toxic environment.
I agree. Lynn, what do you have to say about this arrangement?
Well, the first thing I have to say is if it works for you, it's working, and then you can't judge by what everybody else is doing, number one. And number two, I want to note there is a phenomenon called gray divorces, that people who have been married 20 years and up, the number of divorces are increasing, going up. And I think part of it is, you raise your kids, and now I'm sick of you. And it happens. And we're living much longer than we ever did before, and so we have this whole fourth quarter that we didn't have, and they're demonstrating that you can renegotiate your deal. You don't have to stay in the same pain that was 20 years in the making. You can look at each other, figure out what the problem is, and work it differently, so it will, in the end, work for you.
And can I ask about, how is it you're together? Do you have a certain amount of days that you're in your house, and do you spend the night together?
Yes, we do spend about 3 or 4 nights every week together, usually the weekend. Mostly in my house, sometimes in her house.
He likes to have all of his things around him. I'm a little bit more portable.
Okay, yeah, your pottery thing needs to stay put.
Yeah,
okay,
exactly.
But it works for you. Thank you so much for being
You're
here.
welcome.
It's a pleasure.
Welcome.
Coming up next, her parents were best friends, true loves, and soulmates, but that didn't happen until after they got divorced. Their story is right after this.
My question is for the married couple who live in separate homes. Did you guys exchange keys, and what is the rules around entering each other's homes?
That's a really good question.
Of course, our homes are totally open to each other.
Really?
Yes.
Yeah, and our girls have keys to both homes too. So, and they come and go.
But you do knock before you enter her house, right?
No, not even that.
No.
This is all based on deep trust.
Yeah, it really is.
Wow.
Yeah, and aside from the fact that he's a builder, if he wanted to get into my house, he knows how to do it.
Okay, so and again, that works for you guys.
It really does.
Okay, who else? The currently high divorce rate indicates that the traditional marriage model isn't necessarily the best for every couple. Love takes many forms, and sometimes the best marriage arrangement for a couple is an unconventional one that fits only them. Thank you for watching. See you next time.